What's going on, YouTube? You already know my name, so I do not need to give you that introduction again. Here to hit y'all again with another movie review. This time I'm going to review the 1994 drama Above the Rim. The plot of this movie, we follow a basketball, I don't know if I can call him a star from the opening because he's a high school basketball player. Kyle Watson is our main character. And we follow him on his dreams of becoming a college basketball star. He is hoping to get into Georgetown to play basketball. And this is pretty much our story as we are following mainly Kyle in this movie, although we do get a couple of other, I don't want to say, well, I guess you could call one of them a main character. He's kind of got a little story going on too, but our main plot is we're following Kyle Watson. Kyle Watson lives at home with his mother. She is a single mom. The father is not in the picture. I'm not sure if they ever say what happened to the dad or not, but Kyle Watson is living with just his mom, and he has basketball dreams of going to Georgetown to play basketball. Now, our side story follows a character named Shep, who was a former basketball player, I believe in high school too. I don't know if they ever said if he went to college to play ball or what, but something happens with Shep that makes him pretty much lose his interest in playing basketball. At the opening of the movie, he's playing basketball with his friend, Nutso, and a tragic accident claims the life of Nutso. They're doing this thing like a lot of basketball players do where they jump up and they touch the backboard to see how high they can get, and the backboard breaks. They're actually on top of a roof playing, and the backboard breaks and Nutso falls to his death. This puts Shep into a state of depression throughout the movie. And he really becomes like silent throughout a lot of the movie, and he's like kind of standoffish, to be honest, too. Now, I guess we'll go ahead and get into more of a breakdown of the characters. Now, Kyle, I already told his story, but I'm going to go ahead and say this right here. I don't really like this character throughout most of this movie because when he meets up with Birdie, and, he gets the offer and everything from Birdie, which I'll get into a little later, he becomes like a complete dick throughout this whole movie. He just acts like he's just tough, and he's very sassy. He's very rude to his mom. I mean, I get it. We've all been there. We've been kids. But for the majority of this runtime, Kyle Watson is not really a likable character at all. He's basically being really mean to the people trying to help him out, with the exception of Birdie, I guess. But, I don't know. I don't know that I've really seen too many more unlikable main characters as Kyle Watson. Now, in the final moments of the film, he somewhat redeems himself. But if we're going for like overall here, I got to say Kyle Watson is just not one of my favorite characters. So then we get to the character of Shep. Shep is, I'm kind of 50-50 on this character here. He, like I said, he's really messed up from his friend's death, all that, but he's very standoffish, and sometimes he's a bit of a snob. There's a scene where a lady at a restaurant tries to talk to him, and he just kind of responds with a snotty attitude with her and everything. Although he's very friendly to Kyle Watson's mom, which I will also get into here shortly. And to an extent to Kyle's basketball coach too, and to his security guard partner, I guess. To those characters, he's okay, but he's very standoffish with his brother, Birdie, which I kind of understand because Birdie is headed down the wrong path. How he got to where he got, Shep doesn't approve of it. Now, we do get some redeeming qualities from Shep later on in the film. So I don't totally hate this character. I'm just about 50-50 with the character of Shep. But he is a hell of a basketball player in this film. If you're in it to see the basketball playing and all that, I think Shep's probably going to end up being one of your favorite characters of the film. Then we go to the character of Birdie, which is played by Tupac. Now, you guys already know that Tupac was probably one of the best rappers to also become an actor. I don't remember too many of Tupac's roles being too bad, honestly. I was pretty much a fan of everything he did, especially in Juice. In this film, he plays a drug dealer, and he's kind of living large. I guess he held the fort down when his mom was going downhill, when she was broke and everything. He ended up selling drugs to, kind of help her live large. I guess the house had marble floors and big screen TV, split level duplex. He says this to his brother at a scene where they go to the mom's gravesite. And the thing with Birdie is you can tell that he loves his brother. You can tell that. But when he gets angry, I mean, this dude is like, he's a straight up dog. And, he will get right in your face. He will cuss you out. And he'll kill you. He will. I almost feel like this character is like, he'd be quicker to kill you than he would to actually fight you head up. And that's the kind of character that Tupac, played almost in Juice. But I think in Juice, he might have been, well, I don't know. It's kind of close about how, aggressive he was. It's a similar role, I guess. But the thing with Juice is, he doesn't really get like that until he gets a hold of that gun. And, right from the start, we kind of know Birdie's just going to be this thuggish, I'll take your ass out if I want to kind of character. His only, good quality, I say, is that he legit seems like he loves his brother, though. There's, at the grave scene, he hugged his brother. He's like, why didn't you call me, man? Stuff like that. But then he kind of makes this, offer to him to help him sell the drugs, be his partner, and Shep's not with it. And then we start to get more of Birdie as a villain throughout the rest of the film. And he wants Kyle to play on his shootout team, the Birdmen. So he tries to steer Kyle away from the coach, offer some money, women. But really not the best intentions, honestly. So, as far as us, we're supposed to not like this character. So, with that being said, I gotta say that Tupac plays this character to perfection. Because it's there's a balance of, you see a slight soft side to the character, but truth be told, he's a thug. And he'll take you out. So, not a likable character, but a good acting performance nonetheless. Then we go to Birdie's friend, Motal. He's not really a main character, but you don't often see Birdie without his boy Motal. Motal, same situation here. Drug dealer. Although I feel like Motal is a character that he'll scrap you one-on-one too. I mean, don't get me wrong, he'll kill you, but he also will scrap you, straight up fight you. He strikes me as more of a character as he won't kill you unless you really push his buttons. But he's more of a I'll confront you kind of guy. There's a scene in here where he kind of makes a comment about Birdie's character behind his back, so I guess to an extent, he isn't as hardcore as Birdie's character, but nonetheless, Motal is a similar character to Birdie. But we get more of the character from Birdie. Malika Watson is Kyle's mother, single mom, wants the best for her son. And she also is very honest with him. She lets him know when she doesn't approve of his friends, stuff like that. But, she's a single mom. She's holding the fort down. She works late shift. Sometimes I think she might have even worked a double or something in this film. So, the lady knows knows what she's got to do. And I like this character a lot. I really like this character. Then we have Coach, which is Kyle Watson's basketball coach. Same thing, wants the best for Kyle, but is always honest with Kyle. Lets him know when he doesn't like something. Gives it to Kyle straight up about how he's a ball hog and he doesn't use his team for stuff like that. So I really like this coach character too. He also is running a team in this shootout that Birdie also assembled a team for too. And Birdie actually tries to get Kyle to, kind of steer away from the team with the coach, because Kyle is he's agreed to be on the coach's shootout team. And, coach just wants what's best for Kyle, but at the same time, he comes at him real, similar to the mom character. Boogaloo. Boogaloo is another character. It's Kyle's, I guess you can say, his best friend. I originally thought this character named Bobby was Kyle's best friend until Boogaloo showed up. Now, Boogaloo can be a bit of an ass too. I guess for the most part he means well, but he tries way too hard to fit in with Birdie. And often in this film, he is just cracking way too many jokes on characters, especially the character I'm going to mention next, which is the character of Flip. But Kyle and Boogaloo just disrespect this guy almost the entire movie. And Boogaloo just comes off as a really annoying character. I don't know that I'm a fan of Boogaloo either. I don't think I hated him as much as Kyle, though. Well, I don't know. I guess it's a 50-50 thing. Kyle and Boogaloo are two characters I really just don't care for in this movie. By the way, Boogaloo is played by Marlon Wayans. So I guess that explains why the comedy needs to be there. Then we go to the character of Flip. And Flip is a homeless guy who used to play on the basketball team with Shep when they were in high school. And apparently they were champions, because he makes a comment about how they used to be champions and stuff. But Flip is a little bit of a, he likes to talk shit too. Sometimes he pushes the wrong buttons. Like there's a scene where he kind of insults Birdie when Birdie and Motal actually pull Kyle off of Flip. So I didn't really understand that. I don't think Flip really deserved what happened to him later. But I do think Flip had a serious problem with watching his mouth. He talked a lot of shit that he knew he couldn't back up. So I'm kind of torn on whether I like this character either. He was funny. And, I mean, it's not like he wants to kill anybody or nothing. So, I mean, there's that. But, he wouldn't watch his mouth throughout this movie. And unfortunately, that's what leads to Birdie and Motal taking him out later. Birdie kills him with the razor. And I don't think Flip deserved that. So I'm kind of on the fence with Flip's character. Don't really like him, but don't really hate him. Although I got to give Bernie Mac his due. He did an awesome job in this role. Rest in peace, Bernie Mac. I like a lot of his stuff too. Funny guy, and I honestly miss his movies. I do. So I guess now we can get into what I thought of the film, I guess. Well, I'm just going to say this. I absolutely love this movie. I am a huge fan of this film. I saw this movie, I believe, when I was in the 7th or 8th grade. And since then, I go back and visit this movie quite often. And I don't really get bored of it. I watch it with friends, watch it with my family. And I just think the performances from everybody in this movie were really good. I can't think of one bad actor in this film. I really can't. I think the casting was perfect in this movie. Every character plays their part well. Whether a small role, whether a big role, it all mattered in this movie. yeah, I can't think of one bad performance in this movie. I really can't. So now I have to talk about something else I love about this movie. The soundtrack for this movie is an absolute banger. I went out and bought the soundtrack a couple of days after I saw this movie. Now, unfortunately, the one I bought, the swear words were kind of bleeped out. I believe I bought it from a Sam Goody store, and apparently I didn't pay attention to the parental advisory thing. Maybe my folks wouldn't have let me buy it at the time anyway. But this soundtrack, y'all, is an absolute banger. And I recommend y'all go to Spotify or YouTube Music, whatever y'all got, and y'all check out this whole soundtrack. It is an absolute banger. Most of the bangers are coming from Tupac, but there's a couple other ones on there too. I know there's a song on there called Blowed Away that I don't remember hearing in the actual film. Banger too. And I know Lady of Rage had the song Afro Puffs, but I feel like in the music video, it was a slightly different version than the one that was used in Above the Rim. And I actually prefer the one from the music video. I thought the beat was better in that. But we definitely get some bangers here from Tupac. And then even like the music we have in here that don't have words to it, like the ones they played during the shootout and stuff. Y'all, this soundtrack is banging. I don't think the like instrumental themes are on the actual soundtrack. Maybe you could find them on YouTube or something like that. Maybe download them YouTube to MP3. But I definitely recommend y'all check out this soundtrack. So now we just need to get to the best character and the MVP of the film. I have to kind of separate that because here's the problem with this. As far as picking an MVP, like I said, the acting performance from everybody in this film is fantastic. So this is probably one of the hardest movies where I've had to pick an MVP. Now, as far as the best character, this one is a little easy for me. The best character, in my opinion, in this film is Malika Watson, which is Kyle's mother. Now, aside from fantastic acting, this character, like I said, she does not take any bullshit from Kyle Watson. There's a scene where he mouths off to her, he swears, and she legit slaps him in the face. You know, we need more moms like this. Moms that hold the fort down and are not scared to put their foot down. Especially single moms like this. And even when she hooks up with Tommy Shepard, she's still putting her foot down. You know, it's like no man is stopping that. And I like that. We need more moms like that. So I'm going to say the best character in this film is Malika Watson. Now, the MVP of this film. Actually, before I get to the MVP of this film, I'm going to go ahead and get the opinion of my best friend, Garin. So with that being said, let's go ahead and pass the ball on over to Garin and see what he thinks about this.
Thank you, Alan Spidey, for having me on. You know, I'm Garin. A lot of you know me, some of you don't. Me and Alan Spidey go back a long time, since we were 4 years old. You probably saw me on one of his wrestling watch parties a couple months ago. But he invited me on to be a part of this movie review, Above the Rim. We watched it many times together. We still quote the movie today, so let me dive right in. MVP, I actually have three. Number three, I'm going to go with Flip. You know, rest in peace of Bernie Mac. Flip really didn't mess with anybody. I mean, he was kind of messing with Kyle, but at the end of the day, he was just trying to play some basketball. You know, he wasn't messing with nobody. He didn't deserve to get killed at the end just for standing up for himself. So I wish he would have had a bigger role, but, you know, it is what it is. Number two, I would say the coach. You know, he wasn't just about winning and losing. He was trying to teach, you know, things to Kyle and the rest of the team. And it can't be easy, especially whatever he was getting paid and everything. So he was likable. And number one, I got to go with Kyle's mom, because she didn't put up with nothing from anybody, whether it be Shap, Kyle, nobody. She didn't care about Boogaloo. She just wanted to make sure Kyle was safe and everything. She made sure Kyle didn't get too far out of line. He deserved that slap for talking to her like that. Me personally, I would have got it worse than that if I talked back to my mom like that. and especially, you know, with my dad and everything. No way. But anyways, she put him in check. She told Shep, you know, I can't be with you because you're a runner and everything, you know. So she was just about, you know, she was about her business. So she would be number one. Now, most unlikable, 1, 2, and 3, that's got to go to Kyle. I'm sorry. Like, for me, he shouldn't even got into Georgetown. His attitude was crap. I mean, from leaving his friend for Boogaloo, I get you haven't seen him in a while and everything, but you just left him high and dry. You're a selfish teammate. You threw a fit when you didn't get your way. You know, got mad when your mom was with Shep. Like, she ain't supposed to have happiness. She's just supposed to sit at home and, you know, just go to work, come home, cook for you, take care of you. Come on, man. He should have never got into Georgetown, maybe a community college or something. So he was so unlikable. I mean, I guess I'm glad he made it at the end, but if he didn't, you know, it just, I mean, he was messing with Flip, and then he tried that with Shep. He, you know, it just, he was a mini Birdie, you know, trying to get over on people. He just wasn't as violent, you know, so he fit in perfectly with that group. He should have, you know, just stayed with them, then had his cap in his hand when they come back to coach, when he realized what was going on and everything. No, it should have been too late. I still would have snitched on him. That's just me, though. He was unlikable, and then throwing that fit at the end, throwing chairs and everything, trying to go at Shep and everything. He should have been kicked off the team. That should have been it right there. But, you know, and then side thing, one of the most funniest things to me is when Birdie got shot to his own song at the end. That was messed up. But, yeah, those are my MVPs. And then most unlikable, there wasn't too many other people unlikable. Maybe Shep, because again, I get he just wanted to be left alone, and he had the trauma when he was in school and everything. But it's just, come on, man, you can't just be up and running like that. And just, he redeemed himself at the end, saving Kyle and other people from getting shot. So that was pretty cool. So that saves him from being number one. But yeah, that's it for me. I'm going to throw it back to Alan Spidey. Thanks again for having me on. I'm sure we'll do this again, wrestling, video games, other movies. So thanks.
Guarantee those were definitely some good choices. Much appreciate you featuring on this review. And I definitely look forward to having you on this for more reviews in the future. Maybe even a podcast where we do the reviews from the same house. So I appreciate you for featuring on this here. So with that being said, I'm going to get to the MVP of this movie. Now, with me, as you guys can tell, the MVP isn't always the best character in the movie. It's the person who delivers like the most memorable lines. And I got to say, in this movie, the character who has the most memorable lines and the ones that I always find myself repeating or enjoying the most, I got to say the MVP of this movie is actually Motal. Yep, I said it. The MVP of this film, in my opinion, is Motal. I bet a lot of people expected me to say Birdie or maybe even the coach. I don't know. But my MVP in this movie is Motal. Definitely had some memorable lines here. So now that I've chosen my MVP of this film, I'm going to give this movie a final score. Final score for this movie, I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. And the only reason I don't give this movie a 5 is because I would have liked to see what actually happens with Boogaloo. Because near the end of the film, Boogaloo actually kills Tupac's character, Birdie. But I kind of want to know what happened to Boogaloo. Like, did he go to jail? I'm assuming he did. I mean, but Birdie killed Flip and he never got arrested, so I don't know. I just wish they would have kind of explained that a little more. That is the only thing stopping me from giving this film a perfect score. But this film has a lot of replay value. I go back and visit it all the time, and I never get tired of it. Do you guys agree with my score? I think this movie is an absolute classic. I think anybody who loves basketball or anybody who loves drama films, anybody who loves Tupac, anybody who loves Bernie Mac, I think they need to check out this film. It is an excellent, excellent movie. And I'm going to stick with the score of 4.5 out of 5. Almost got that 5 stars, but it just missed by not explaining what happened with Boogaloo. So, what do you guys think? Did you like this review? If so, feel free to subscribe and hit that like button, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace.